Good morning, everyone. Ooh, that's loud. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to the iFX EXPO. Our first guest, I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. George Theocharides, who is the new chairman of the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission, or CySEC. Previously, he served as the CySEC's vice chairman since July 2020, and prior to that was the associate finance professor at the Cyprus International Institute of Management and the director of the MSc in Financial Services program from September 2010 until July of 2020. Dr. Theocharides also has extensively worked across the wider financial sector. Let's give him a very warm welcome to the stage.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a real pleasure for me to open the iFX EXPO International 2021, and I would like to thank the organizers for their kind invitation. So after the outbreak of the pandemic in the spring of 2020, the markets have witnessed a sharp short-term drop in valuations that was followed through, though, by a strong rebound in the second half of 2020 and is continuing until today. In 2021, investors' confidence continues to increase. So in 2021, investors' confidence continues to increase, linked to rising asset valuations and the strong performance of the retail investor financial instruments. A surge in retail trading since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic has also been driven by a range of factors, including innovation. So we have new online and mobile trading platforms that offer convenient, low-cost and easy-to-use investment services. While these are exciting developments, they come with risks. And in particular, regulators must be able to respond to the increasing influence of the social media and the online message platforms in trading. So the challenge for every regulator across the globe is to stay proactive and to be ahead of the financial market developments and the technological expansion no matter how fast-paced it is. It's imperative to use all available resources and technological solutions we have to ensure the compliance of regulated entities with increasing and data-heavy regulatory requirements and investors' protection processes. So as part of its mandate, CySEC strives to actively support new financial technology products, services, and infrastructure projects, particularly those that can finance the growth of the real economy and offer better and less costly services to investors. The prospects and the opportunities of new technologies are indeed huge, but they need to be monitored carefully to achieve better investor protection. So in September of 2018, CySEC, we established an innovation hub to explore the growth and the use of fintech developments like blockchain technologies and DLT, distributed ledger technologies, AI tools, virtual digital currencies, crypto exchanges, and RegTech solutions. I'm glad to say that we have now received funding approval from the EU Resilience and Recovery Fund, the RRF, to explore or to transform the innovation hub into a regulatory sandbox. In the regulatory sandbox, what we aim to do is to be able to test new technologies in a controlled environment before we go to the process of the application. So this is in our one of the future goals that we have in the near future, to transform, as I said, this innovation hub into a regulatory sandbox, similar to what some other countries have, and especially I should mention the one that comes to mind is by the UK FCA, which was the first regulatory sandbox that was established back in 2016. Technological difficulties. So now to talk a little bit about crypto assets, because I'm sure that everybody's interested about this new space. So I'm sure that you are all aware of recent developments in the cryptocurrency space, particularly the evidence of rising valuations, the massive price swings or volatility that we experience in these markets, and event-driven risks from elevated trading volumes. So these developments are raising questions about increased risk-taking behavior and possible market exuberance. Money laundering, hacking, and the operational weaknesses of the crypto exchanges themselves are other risks that must be taken into account very seriously. So a few weeks ago, CySEC has issued a policy statement on the registration and operations of the crypto asset service providers to outline its finalized rules for the service providers under the AML-CFT law. Additionally, we have issued the CASP registration directive and the directive for the prevention and suppression of money laundering and terrorist financing, which elaborate the next steps for the CASP's and CySEC's expectations. What are the obligations for CASPs? We expect these crypto asset service providers to abide by their obligations stemming from the CASP rules, including, but not limited to their obligations, among others, on the fitness and the probity of the CASP beneficiaries and the persons that are holding a management position, performing KYC, know your client, and other client due diligence measures, drawing the economic profile and identifying the source of funds of their clients, identifying and reporting suspicious transactions, and undertaking a comprehensive risk assessment in relation to their clients' activities, and to take the necessary measures per client and activity and crypto asset in question. So if you look at our website, CySEC's website, it outlines the relevant framework, and I'm glad to say that we have also uploaded yesterday the relevant forms for the application process. So in line with our policy-making process, CySEC will continue to analyze market practices and will assess the effectiveness of the existing rules. And where necessary, we will act to issue further guidance to ensure the compliance of supervised entities with the regulatory framework and or to amend existing rules. Now, I want to discuss a little bit about what's happening in the European environment about the crypto assets. Because CySECs expect the initiatives that we have undertaken to alleviate some, but not all, of the risks involved in this crypto asset space. So we welcome the developments at the EU level under the MiCA, the proposed regulation on the markets in crypto assets. So to explain it in a simple manner, what we will be doing right now is that we will be accepting a registration for the crypto asset service providers, which we will have to go through the whole of the due diligence as we're doing with the MiFID firms. But when it comes to the supervision, at this point in time, we will be supervising for AML issues. But the expectations is that gradually we would be able to fully supervise the regulated entities, and especially when MiCA comes into into action in a few years' time, which is the EU directive for this market, which would be regulating all aspects of this space. So in September of 2020, as I said, the European Commission proposed this new regulation on the crypto assets, known as MiCA. This forms part of the EU's digital finance strategy and is expected to significantly impact the operation of the crypto market in the European Union. It will increase consumer protection, will establish clear crypto industry contact, and it will introduce new licensing requirements. This proposal, which covers crypto assets that are falling outside the existing EU financial services regulation, as well as e-money tokens, has basically four general and related objectives. The first objective is to provide a legal certainty. So for the crypto asset market to develop within the European Union, there is a need for a sound legal framework which clearly defines the regulatory treatment of all crypto assets that are not covered by the existing financial services regulation. The second objective is to support innovation, in particular to promote the development of the crypto assets and the wider use of the DLT. It's necessary to put in place a safe and proportionate framework to support innovation and fair competition. The third objective is to instill appropriate levels of consumer and investor protection and market integrity, given that the crypto assets that are not covered by the existing financial services legislation present many of the same risks as more familiar instruments. And finally, the fourth objective is to ensure financial stability. Crypto assets are continuously evolving, while some have a limited scope and use. Others, such as the emerging category of stable coins, have the potential to become widely accepted and potentially systemic for the financial markets. So this proposal includes safeguards to address potential risks for financial stability and orderly monetary policy that could arise from the stable coins. Now, I should also mention that until MiCA becomes effective within the European Union and within Cyprus, there is a national bill that has been drafted by the Ministry of Finance. We call it an umbrella law, to regulate the development of the DLT, blockchain, smart contracts area, and provide a legal certainty to the market. And under this bill, CySEC is empowered to draft other legislative amendments if we feel it's necessary for further regulating the provision of these services. The bill is currently going through a legislative editing before it's submitted to the Council of Ministers for approval and then to the Parliament for a vote. So now to move a little bit onto the area of supervision and education. Now, ladies and gentlemen, due to the very diverse and sophisticated market participants in an ever-changing financial landscape, CySEC keeps up to date with the best supervisory practices to ensure investor protection and the smooth functioning of the market. We use a comprehensive risk-based supervisory framework. We call it the RBSF. It's a tool that is designed to address the risks and compliance requirements for each firm under our supervision. It allows us to categorize supervised entities according to their investment risk profile, including the potential impact they could have on the market and the investors. Also, of high priority to us is the adaptation of a more data-driven approach, given the fact that financial markets right now are, they do have a lot of data, big data, So the data should be used in order to guide us in our supervisory practices and approaches. So what we call this a data-driven supervision, which we're currently putting into place. We believe that the data-driven approach to supervision will allow us to enhance financial stability, market integrity, and investor protection. So as I said, we're in the process of developing these new procedures and the methodology in order to conduct these data-driven supervision, which will allow us to identify irregularities and risks in the market at an early stage. Again, this is a project that is funded by the European Union in order for us to develop this new supervisory system. CySEC is also responding to the need to manage big data with RegTech systems that will use artificial intelligence and cloud computing. So it will allow us to quickly screen data representing large and varied trading volumes in order to identify and detect risks and irregularities at an early stage and to react more quickly against these risks. Now, given the international and largely web-based nature of the activities of the investment firms, of the Cypriot investment firms, CySEC has also been in the process of acquiring a supervisory system for monitoring the supervised entities' online marketing activities and materials. This tool will further enhance our ability to collect, analyze, and monitor the marketing communication of CIFs. So I should be clear here that we will not tolerate aggressive, and we do not tolerate aggressive marketing practices or the provision of misleading information to the investors or other abusive practices. And those who seek to break the law will have no place in Cyprus. And our aim is for a stronger, safer, and responsible market, both in Cyprus but across also Europe. Now, we also place great emphasis on the financial education of the industry professionals to ensure a high standard of service. Since 2015, CySEC has ensured key position employees are certified and continuously educated on regulated issues. In 2020, these requirements were extended to cover the AML compliance officers, and at the beginning of next year, of 2022, the new exams will be in place for the providers of financial information in regulated entities. So the smooth operation of the financial sector and investor protection is backed by a sound legal framework, but also by the ability of each investor to individually assess the risk and rewards included in different investment options. So to this end, CySEC undertakes various educative actions and initiatives through publications on its website and media. CySEC participates in the World Investor Week of 2021, which is actually this week, with the aim of contributing to the global drive to educate and protect investors. We also participate in an ad hoc committee for financial literacy and investor education that will develop the Cypriot national strategy in this area. Other members of the committee are the Central Bank of Cyprus, the Ministries of Education and Finance, and the two state universities. Now, a little bit about a very promising area, the area of ESG and sustainable finance. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. So ESG has been growing in prominence as its application has become essential to investor decisions and for businesses throughout the world. As more stakeholders engage, ESG is playing a decisive role in the way investments are evaluated and decisions are made, and will ultimately affect returns on those investments and, importantly, the costs and the allocation of capital. So in line with the EU Action Plan for Financing Sustainable Growth, CySEC has confirmed its commitment to fostering compliance with sustainable finance standards. In preparation for the new Sustainable Finance Disclosures Regulation, the so-called SFDR, which became applicable in March of this year, CySEC has created a dedicated section on its website on sustainable finance, which presents information on the new regulations, SFDR, benchmark regulation, taxonomy regulation. All market participants have been urged to take all the necessary steps to ensure full compliance with the regulatory requirements, particularly the SFDR disclosure obligations, to ensure a smooth implementation of the new ESG policies. In general, information provided should enable the national supervisory authorities to easily verify compliance with the disclosure obligation and to enforce this in accordance with applicable national law. When financial market participants are not taking into account the criteria for environmentally sustainable investments, they should submit a statement to that effect. I should mention that in Cyprus we have already registered some alternative investment funds that have an investment policy that is focusing on environmental, social, and governance factors. It is promising, however, we are yet to see a large-scale shift towards responsible investments, but I think we are moving towards the right direction. And I should also mention that related to ESG, that we will challenge firms and take action when we see a risk of mislabeling, misrepresenting, or mis-selling in relation to sustainable finance to protect the investors and prevent them from being misled. Such risks are encapsulated in the term greenwashing. A few things about crowdfunding. In 2020, investment-based crowdfunding services were carved into the investment services law in Cyprus. The first application is in the process of being granted a license, and these rules will soon be replaced by the EU crowdfunding regulation, which will become applicable this November. So, in conclusion, I would like to stress that financial technology provides enormous opportunity for businesses to increase transparency, to reduce costs, and make information more accessible to investors. CySEC is fully committed to supporting these exciting developments, but we are also fully committed to ensure that these applications are delivered in a prudent and compliant manner and that investors are protected. And in this rapidly changing world, we also continue to contribute at the national, at the EU, and at the global level to give Cyprus a strong voice, and we do this through our continued participation at various decision-making and discussion forums. Our priority remains to make the Cyprus securities market a safe and secure place to do business by maintaining high standards of investor protection, investor confidence, and supporting the healthy development of the market with new products and services. So with these thoughts, I would like to thank you all for your kind attention and wish you all a productive and enjoyable day. Thank you.